Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Everyone always asks me for my opinions about, well, just about anything, and if you know me, then you know I'm going to give you my opinion on just about anything that I can give you my opinion on, for the most part. If I don't understand a topic, I may give you a lighter opinion, but I certainly won't pretend to know everything, because I definitely do not know everything. But that's what's so nice about being surrounded by a community, well, that is a good community, a community at large, a community at will, whether you discovered me through Tech TV or through YouTube. And in fact, by the way, to all you YouTube subscribers, you can now make money off of syndicating my videos. If you signed up for Google AdSense, tie it into your YouTube account, and then embed any search for Pirillo with that Google AdSense YouTube video. Anybody who sees that ad, or I think they have to click on it, but you can't tell them to click on it. But anyway, you can get paid for essentially running the videos that we record. So it's a really good community, especially when it comes to sharing opinions and ideas and thoughts and talking about gadgets and gizmos and hardware and software and internet and whatnot. So this particular video, I'm going to take the time to respond to an email request from, I believe it's PC Mechanic. And that's if you've never heard of PC Mechanic, it is a website. And David Risley, and it may be pronounced Risley, I don't know, because it's an email, he wanted me to answer questions in an interview type fashion. I thought, well, instead of just responding to him, I would, respond on the video, and everybody could enjoy my opinions. And opinions are like hard drives. Everybody has at least two. Now, hopefully you have two. Do you have two, Lenny?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Number one, a lot has been said about Windows Vista and whether it is ready for prime time or not. I believe you have recently downgraded to Windows XP, as have I, and you've made no secret about your frustrations with Vista. Do you think Vista will eventually be as accepted as XP, or are we looking to the beginning of the end of Windows? It's a good question. Vista is a different beast compared to XP. I think it will be as widely accepted as XP, but it may take about 2 or 3 years. And the problem with that is by that time, Apple will have jumped that much further ahead with OS X. And I've made no bones about saying that I'm likely going to be switching to OS X as soon as Leopard is released here at the end of the month. At least, again, at the time of this recording. XP was just different when it was first released. There was really no other alternative for an operating system that was out there for the consumer desktop. And even today, Linux is still nowhere near where it needs to be for the average consumer, despite the leaps and bounds of usability from camps like Ubuntu, and KDE 4.0 is right around the corner. They've got some great stuff going on with Compiz Fusion and all that eye candy. But for the average person, it's not there yet. In fact, I was reading something. I think it was in APC, which is another online magazine, that one of the leading desktop enthusiasts and desktop evangelist desktop optimizers in the Linux community was kind of shunned by Linux developers, the core Linux developers, because he was focusing or trying to focus on the desktop experience rather than everything else. And the Linux community apparently had shunned him to the point where he doesn't even want to work on it anymore, which is really disappointing to hear, because if Linux is going to succeed, it's got to have desktop stability, desktop performance has got to be key, and that's, if they don't have that, they're going to be in big trouble. So Linux will continue to succeed, I think, on the server platform. Desktop, I think, is going to take them a lot longer. For any kind of NICs to gain any kind of widespread popularity, it's likely going to happen from Apple's camp, which, of course, I'm not going to go into the whole kernel history with OS X. Suffice it to say, the underpinnings are certainly a lot more to the liking of power users. And I think Windows on the consumer desktop is showing its age. More importantly, in 5 years, I think most of what we experience with an operating system is going to be largely in virtual machines. The hardware will certainly be able to handle that, and that will help with backwards compatibility. It'll help with running multiple apps at the same time with stability. And it will also, push us further and further into having applications hosted on the web. I mean, I've talked about that before too. I think the future of programs is all on the web for a lot of different reasons. So it's not necessarily just the beginning of the end for Windows, but I think operating systems will be fundamentally different in 5 to 10 years. But yes, I think Windows is certainly showing its age. What, if anything, do you think Microsoft needs to do differently in their next version of Windows? Well, what they need to do differently is the whole damn thing. I'm no longer interested in what Windows has to offer me as a power user, as a home user who largely operates on a home network, who has to deal with supporting friends and family members. Microsoft, for the next version of Windows, has to be a complete departure from what Windows is today. They need to shove backwards compatibility into virtual machines, and they have that capability. They need to start to move forward, and they've tried. But the way Microsoft moves forward is very slowly because they've got their hands in so many pies, and they do cater to the corporate world, which is fine because that's where a lot of the money is. But as a home user, as a regular old power user at home, on the desktop, I'm just not as interested in Windows as I used to be. It's not very exciting anymore. There's a lot more WoW that's happening with OS X these days than I think there has been in Windows for quite a long time, including Vista. If the best that Microsoft can give to us is Texas Hold'em as a Windows Ultimate add-on, or Flop 3D as a different way of viewing open programs in Windows Vista, they got to change everything. Sorry. And when they do that, you thought they had problems with Vista incompatibility, they're going to have even more problems with the next version of Windows. Like I said, I think Windows is starting to show its age, and I don't know if they can pull it off. And, maybe they can. Maybe it's fine for you. It's no longer fine for me. So they got to have a radical departure, and they're not going to do it. They just can't do it. It's too big a ship to turn around. I noticed you were using your MacBook a lot. Are you turning into a dedicated Mac user, and do you plan to ditch Windows altogether when Leopard arrives? Maybe. Tentatively. You know what? I tell you what it would take for me to switch to Leopard, all out. If I could find a sponsor to sponsor a Mac Pro, and believe me, I've got a nice Mac Pro spec'd out. If I could find one to do that, I'd switch. But I don't think I can find a sponsor to do that. Maybe I can. Maybe someone who believes enough in the videos that we're doing, or believes in Mac enough to sponsor something. Maybe I'll email my old friend Waz. Yeah, he is a friend. He keynoted one of my conferences back in 2004. Do you have any thoughts about the closed nature of Apple? I mean, sure, their machines may run well, but is that because they control both hardware and software? Apple makes Microsoft look like an open book. Any thoughts? Well, you are correct. Now, not to say that Microsoft is completely open. I mean, certainly they have certain hooks and APIs that they keep close to their heart in terms of Microsoft Windows and calls to the operating system. But that's what concerns me most about Apple, is that they are very closed in nature. It's a good thing, but that goodness only goes to a certain point. For instance, I appreciate that they control both hardware and software. It creates a great user experience, but at some point you got to let that go. And I think the iPhone is a good example of that. I mean, here's, no doubt about it, one of the best consumer electronic devices available on the market today for everything that it is and that it does, but they've crippled it. Artificially crippled it, and they've done it because of control and because of regulations and because of a money tree. And if Apple's making money on ringtones, well, yeah, they're not going to let you make ringtones easily or for free. And if they're making money on music, well, what's the incentive of them kind of opening up that platform? And if they're making money on X, Y, and Z, well, why would they want to open it up even further? Now, of course, developers, rightfully so, have come out and slapped Apple's hand and said, shame on you, Apple. Shame on you, Steve Jobs. They're absolutely correct. They're absolutely right and justified to complain about artificially crippled devices and services and hardware and software. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Have I ever hacked my iPhone? Nope. Don't want to do it. All I need it to do is be a phone. But I wish I wish developers could do more with it. I really do, because that would make it even better than it is today, in my opinion. And OS 10, of course, is different than the iPhone. It's a different space. The operating system is completely contingent on third-party developers, whereas the phone or the mobile device, Apple, I think, they've got to open up. They're going to have to do that with iTunes anyway, sooner or later, and they're going to have to wake up to that. Open systems always win out in the end, always. So there's a big upshot for Linux there. So don't think I'm a total basher on any camp. I'll bash everybody equally. I've got opinions all across the way. Why do you think Apple hardware is so much more expensive than PC hardware? Do you agree with some of our Mac readers in saying that it's a myth? I agree, it's a myth. Some people who complain about expensive hardware are likely running cheap PCs. And yeah, do they run Windows? Sure. Do they crash? They might. Do they run well? They might. Do they look good? They might. Is support great? Might be. Is it an assemble your own thing? Might be. There are a lot of variables at play. But what I find most ironic about the people who say that price is an issue is they say, well, I can spec out an equivalent machine and it's $100, $400 cheaper. I'm like, yeah, but it looks bad. Or where are you getting your support from? Or, who do you know who to blame if something doesn't work? Or, all these different variables. More importantly, these are the same people that turn around and spend $10,000 on a gaming rig, or even $5,000 on a gaming rig, and they're complaining about Apple's prices? Dude, a good gaming rig, trust me, is going to cost you a hell of a lot more than the average Macintosh. Period. End of story. Anybody who says that price is an issue is an absolute... Well, they're just absolutely incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. Price is not an issue. Price is an issue if you want it to be an issue. Bottom line. And if you want to build your own, fine. If you want to build your own car, build your own car. I'm at the point where I just want it to freaking work, okay? That's the point I'm at. I just want it to work. That's all. That's it. I want to know if... Yeah?
I just want to say, I mean, you could have a top-of-the-line Mac and also buy the top-of-the-line components and build a Windows machine, and they're still the same, roughly around the same price. So I see no difference,
And with an Apple, would I spend $200 more to run Windows apps and Apple as well? You're darn right I would. That's a value.
That's one of the main reasons why I am just a firm believer in the Apple products and OS 10 as running. It's my main operating system now. Because I could run virtual VM Fusion or Parallels whenever I want and run any operating system in a virtual machine.
Yep. So the price thing is an absolute myth. Did you build your own computer? Do you upgrade a lot, or do you tend to stick with the machine for a while? I used to kind of be into it, and then I got tired of it because you didn't know who to blame. If hardware fails, is it the hardware's problem? Is it a driver issue? Is it a Windows issue? Who are you going to blame? Yeah, you can swap out a part for another, and I've done that. Largely with video cards, I'd upgrade more than any other system component. Sometimes a sound card, sometimes a hard drive. And you can do that. You can do that with Macs, by the way, as well. Anybody who says that you can't is, again, an absolute, well, you fill in the blank. So I don't really build my own computers anymore. It's not worth it. Just buying one off the shelf is just as easy. And quite honestly, as long as you get the right components inside that computer, you'll be okay. I tend not to upgrade a lot, though. If it works, it works. Don't mess if it's not broken. Your live webcam feed is obviously a hit. Well, I don't know about that. What is it like having your office broadcast to the internet all day? Have you had any concerns about privacy? I don't mind it. I've had to go out and just order a separate SDSL connection. I've got Comcast Business for my primary connection, but I share that now with a live feed, which takes a lot, and Vonage, which takes a little bit, and other services. But I'm just now ordered SDSL that's going to be dedicated specifically to the video and audio stream, and also a couple other non-essential services that I'm going to use my regular connection for my regular work. So hopefully the audio and video quality will improve with DSL. It'll be a little more steady, I think, than what Comcast has been able to provide me, which hasn't been much, to tell you the truth. Any concerns about privacy? A little. It was weird at first, but then I kind of got used to it. It doesn't bother me so much anymore. Ponzi's concerned about it. That's why you really don't see her a lot on here. You are obviously well known for Locker Gnome, but also your stint on Tech TV. I have to ask, has any thought gone into your current online video work evolving into an internet-based Tech TV-ish network? It's kind of what I've done, really. I mean, here's the thing. Everybody from Tech TV has got their own stuff. They're doing their own thing. Leo, Kevin, Pat, I mean, everybody. Everybody's doing their own thing. Morgan, Megan, I mean, everybody. So you can put your own Tech TV together now. Of course, I'm producing, I think, the most 5 different videos a day. I'm trying to do my best to integrate the community in as many ways as possible. And as I said at the beginning, trying to make it valuable for the community. So now being a YouTube partner, letting people embed the videos that we produce, they can actually generate revenue from the traffic that they drive to those embedded videos on their own blogs or own websites. So Tech TV kind of still already exists. You just got to know where to find us. And if you're watching this video, you have already found me. Lastly, you're from the Seattle area. Why is Pete's Coffee so much better than Starbucks? Well, let me put it this way. You could go to the Outback to get a steak. Is it going to be a good steak? Well, it'll be filling. But is it going to be a good steak? I suppose that's relative. My opinion, not so much. Last I had it was so tasteless, and it was so tough, and it was just why. I'm sorry, going off on steak there, and I feel the same way about coffee as I do my steaks. I like steak. I am a omnivore, I guess. The Starbucks I equate in much the same fashion. Starbucks is like McDonald's. It's not really high quality stuff, and but it's consistent. That's what I'll give Starbucks. That's what I would give something like a steak that you could get from a steak chain like the Outback. It's consistent, and that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking necessarily for consistency as much as I am quality, at least in terms of the things that I ingest, the things that I eat. Now, to relate, Peet's Coffee, that's Peets, which you can order online, they love coffee, and it just shows. And it's a different business structure than Starbucks, and that's why you don't see a lot of Peet's around, but the coffee is fantastic. I've tried everything else. People have sent me coffee beans, and it just pales by comparison. And to relate this back to talking about operating systems, I'm not going to say Windows is like Starbucks. I mean, it is certainly a brand, and it certainly does command a market share. But I think in terms of quality and the taste, I think Apple and OS X is closer to Peet's. It's closer to a filet mignon, and I love filet. Of course, I also love a good ribeye. I love T-bone, even though I know that's more New York filet. It's the filet part that I just love, especially with Maytag blue cheese. If you want, go to a good steakhouse. I mean, just a real, Morton's, great steakhouse. What's another good one? Another chain that's really, really good.
There's one here out east called the Bonefish Grill.
Haven't been there. Ruth's Chris, another good steakhouse.
Excellent.
But I'm telling you, the next time you get a steak, get a filet. Even if you don't really like fillets, because you may find that they don't have a lot of flavor. You got to get it medium rare though. If you got to understand, you're safe getting it medium rare. It's not like a hamburger. Hamburger you always want well done, because bacteria and whatnot. But with good beef, good aged beef, you definitely want something that's closer to the medium rare. If you can, get it with crumbled blue cheese, not a blue cheese sauce. Crumbled blue cheese, sometimes known as Maytag blue cheese. As long as you like blue cheese, and maybe if you might not like blue cheese, together the combination is stellar. If you ask me, my favorite meal, good filet. You gotta have quality beef there with crumbled blue cheese, second to none. Best coffee, Peet's. I'm sorry, I realize that has nothing to do with technology, but you gotta know I'm a human being too. I drink Peet's every day. I now make it in a French press, which the water I get to about right around 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And, again, the coffee's been ground specifically for a French press. I'm actually looking for a really good coffee machine. Not like a $20 coffee machine. I'm probably going to spend hundreds of dollars on a coffee machine that makes really good coffee or really good espresso. And by the way, that's another thing that annoys me. It's not espresso. There's no X in the word espresso. Espresso. I just said espresso, but I meant to say espresso. There's no X in the word espresso.
You're making me cringe with the espresso.
Oh, dude, it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. If you say espresso, I swear to God, I will correct you. It's one of the things that just drives me up the wall. Especially if I go into a place that's not a Pete's and someone says, would you like to try a new espresso? And I'm like, oh, God, this is not going to be good. If the barista, quote-unquote barista, doesn't even know how to say the word espresso, and you find that a lot at Starbucks. Someone will order something and they'll repeat it and say espresso. I'm like, there's no X in the word espresso. Sorry, I got a little ruffled there. Anyway, so hopefully, David, I answered your questions. You're able to translate that, and everybody now has learned something a little bit more about me, not only the things I like to eat and drink, but my opinions about operating systems. If you hadn't figured them out by now, you kind of put a finer point on it. And anyway, if you have any other questions for me, you can email me, chris@pirillo.com, and much like other people will likely do, leave comments in the thread on YouTube or on my blog, chris.pirillo.com, and you can go by the chat room anytime, day or night. We're streaming live there and chatting live. Well, there's some dead chatters in there, but we don't talk about them a lot. But the live people, they're a lot of fun. They actually respond when you say something. And even if I'm not there, other people are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at live.pirillo.com.